They tell you death row is the worst place on earth. They're wrong. The worst place is when they give you hope. I'd been staring at the same stone ceiling for 3 years. Prisoner number 7. Convicted of the Crimson Night Massacre. 2,000 lives. That's what they said I took. The truth? I saved 247 of them. But nobody asks the condemned for their side of the story. The Emperor's decree came at midnight. 12 death row convicts would be sent to the Garden of Thorns, a paradise island no one has ever returned from. Deep inside the island grows the heartbloom, a flower that can grant any single wish. Bring it back, and you earn your freedom. Fail, and the island keeps your bones. But there was a catch. There's always a catch. Each convict would be chained to an imperial executioner. A supernatural binding that connects two souls. If the convict tries to escape, both die. If they wander more than 100 steps apart, the chain burns through their bones. And if either one dies, the other has exactly 24 hours before the chain takes them too. The Emperor called it insurance. I called it a leash. They brought her in, and my heart stopped. Long white hair. Cold violet eyes. A blade called Last Breath strapped to her back. Beautiful. Deadly. Familiar. Yuki Shiranui. The imperial executioner assigned to kill me if I failed. She was 21 years old. And she was the girl I'd given everything to save 11 years ago on the Crimson Night. She looked right through me. Not a flicker of recognition. The binding ceremony was agony. They pressed the chain against our wrists and activated it with a prayer. I felt her heartbeat sync with mine. Her emotions bled into me, cold and controlled and sharp as glass. My power, soul tether, lets me absorb another person's pain, their wounds, even their memories. I'd used it to save her once. I'd absorbed her memories of me to keep her safe. That's why she didn't remember. Because I chose to be forgotten. She spoke her first words to me as we walked to the ship. Listen carefully, Prisoner 7. I will escort you to the island. I will watch you search for the heartbloom. And the moment you find it, or the moment you become useless, I will take your head. That is my duty. Her voice was winter. Not cruel. Just empty. I should have been afraid. Instead I thought, at least she's alive. That's enough. The other pairs were a gallery of monsters and ghosts. Pair 1, a berserker with a jaw made of iron, chained to an executioner who never stopped smiling. Pair 5, a father convicted of treason for exposing government corruption. His executioner was a boy barely 16, trembling with every step. Pair 9, twin sisters. One condemned, one executioner. They held hands the entire voyage. 12 pairs. 12 chains. Only the heartbloom could free us. We saw the Garden of Thorns at sunrise. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. Impossible mountains draped in flowers that shouldn't exist. Waterfalls flowing upward. Trees with leaves that shimmered like gold. The air itself tasted sweet, like honey and jasmine. Every instinct in my body screamed one word. Run. The first night on the island, I couldn't sleep. The flowers whispered. I don't mean that poetically. They literally whispered. Words I almost understood. Names. Pleading. Like voices trapped inside the roots. Yuki sat 3 feet away, her blade across her knees, watching me like I might bolt. I wanted to tell her everything. Who I was. What I did for her. Why she couldn't remember. But the truth would only put her in danger. So I said nothing. And the flowers kept whispering. She asked me one question that night. Why aren't you afraid? Every other convict on this island is already scheming, fighting, or breaking down. But you just sit there. Like you've already accepted death. I looked at her. Those violet eyes, so cold, hiding a girl who once laughed in a field of sunflowers. I said, maybe I have. She frowned. That's not an answer. I know. Good night, executioner. The island attacked on the second morning. Not with monsters. With beauty. A butterfly with wings like stained glass landed on Pair 3's executioner. She smiled. Then the butterfly dissolved into her skin. She stood up, walked toward the edge of a cliff, and stepped off. Still smiling. The island doesn't kill you with teeth. It kills you with wonder. Yuki moved to save her. Instinct. Training. I don't know. But the butterfly's pollen was already in the air. I saw the glowing dust drift toward Yuki's face. I didn't think. I activated Soul Tether and threw myself between them. The pollen hit me instead. Ecstasy. Warmth. A vision of a life I'd never lived, peaceful and kind. Then agony as I ripped it out of my own mind. My nose was bleeding when I opened my eyes. Yuki was staring at me. Why did you do that? Because if you die, the chain kills me too, I lied. She didn't look convinced. But she let it go. I wiped the blood from my face and kept walking. Soul Tether takes everything I absorb and stores it in my body. Pain. Poison. Emotions. Memories. I've been carrying 247 people's dying moments for 11 years. What was a little butterfly pollen on top of that? That afternoon, we found Pair 8. Or what was left of them. The convict was sitting against a tree, covered in vines. Not dead. Growing. Flowers were blooming from his skin. His eyes were open but empty. And he was smiling. His executioner was gone. Just a chain ending in nothing, dragged through the dirt and disappearing into the roots. The island had eaten them both. Slowly. Beautifully. Yuki drew her blade and ended his suffering. Clean. One stroke. She wiped last breath on the grass and sheathed it without hesitation. I watched her face. Nothing. No emotion at all. But through the chain, I felt it. A tremor. Horror she'd never show. Grief she didn't have words for. The chain didn't just bind our bodies. It shared our feelings. And she was drowning in feelings she'd been trained to bury. That night, we made camp in a hollow tree the size of a cathedral. Pair 5 joined us. The father, Genji, and his young executioner, Haru. Genji was calm. Patient. He talked to Haru like a father, not like a condemned man to his killer. What were you convicted for? I asked. Telling the truth, he smiled. I filed a report proving the Emperor was stealing children's powers to fuel the palace's shield generators. They called it treason. Haru, the boy executioner, couldn't have been more than 16. His hands shook when he held his sword. He kept stealing glances at Genji, this man he was supposed to execute, who'd just spent 20 minutes making sure the boy ate first. Yuki watched them with something unreadable in her eyes. She turned to me. Is that how all condemned men act? Gentle? I said, some of us have nothing left to lose. That makes you either kind or dangerous. She said, I haven't decided which you are yet. Day 3. The island showed us what it really was. We entered the thorn forest, where the trees had roots made of bone. The flowers here didn't whisper. They screamed. And in the center, we found a wall of thorny vines with something carved into the stone behind it. Names. Hundreds of names. Scratched into the rock by human fingernails. Other expeditions. Other prisoners. Other chains. None of them made it out. But one name stopped me cold. Third row from the bottom. Carved deeper than the rest. Koro. My father's family name. The same surname I carry. Below it, scratched in smaller letters, a heart bloom is a lie. The island is a prison. They send us here to die so the garden can feed. My father had died in an S-rank gate collapse. That's what they told me. That's what everyone believed. What if they were wrong? I didn't tell the others what I found. Not yet. That night, something happened that I couldn't explain. The island's flowers began to glow brighter than I'd ever seen. And through the light, I saw a shape. A woman, translucent, made of petals and moonlight. She raised one hand toward me and mouthed a single word. Remember. Then she dissolved into 1,000 glowing fragments. My soul tether activated on its own. And I felt it. Pain. Ancient. Familiar. The island itself was in agony. Day 4. Pair 1 found us. The berserker with the iron jaw and his smiling executioner. They didn't come to talk. The berserker's power was called Carnage Engine. Every wound he took made him stronger. Every drop of his own blood fueled his rage. He'd already killed 2 other pairs and taken their supplies. He looked at Yuki and grinned with metal teeth. I'll add your sword to my collection, pretty girl. Yuki moved first. She was faster than anything I'd ever seen. Last breath sang through the air, 3 strikes in a single heartbeat. But the berserker ate every cut. He laughed as the wounds healed and his muscles swelled larger. The more you cut me, the stronger I become, he roared. Yuki's eyes narrowed. Then I'll cut something that doesn't grow back. She aimed for his head. He caught the blade with his iron jaw. Bit down. And last breath cracked. I didn't let him touch her. Soul tether activated at full force. I reached out and grabbed his arm, and I took it all. His pain. His rage. 11 years of death row hatred. The sound he made wasn't human. Without the rage fueling his power, he was just a man. A broken, screaming, empty man. Yuki finished it. One clean stroke. Then she caught me as I collapsed. My body was burning from the inside. His rage was a wildfire. Yuki held me upright as the rage worked through my system. I was shaking. Seeing things. The berserker's memories, a childhood of beatings, a mother who sold him to the fighting pits. I threw up. Yuki didn't let go. Your power, she said quietly. Soul tether. You absorb other people's pain. I nodded. Among other things. Is that why you jumped in front of the pollen for me? Not because of the chain? I didn't answer. She already knew. She asked me that night, sitting by the fire. Why do you keep protecting me? The real reason. I looked at the flames. Because you remind me of someone I lost. It was the closest thing to truth I could give her. She was quiet for a long time. Then, I don't remember anything before I was 10. The executioner corps found me wandering alone. No name. No family. No memories. They gave me a sword and called it mercy. I called it the only thing that never left me. Day 5. We went deeper. The jungle gave way to stone valleys where rivers ran in impossible directions, sideways, upward, spiraling into the sky. Genji found something carved into a bridge. It was a sigil. The Emperor's personal crest. "This island didn't grow naturally," he said. "Someone built it. Someone with the power of 2,000 stolen lives. 2,000. The same number from the Crimson Night." My hands were trembling. Pair 9 found us that evening. The twin sisters. Mira, the condemned, and Sarah, the executioner. Myra's crime was refusing to let the government experiment on her sister. They had the same face, the same power, synchronization. Whatever one felt, the other felt doubled. Pain. Joy. Fear. Doubled. The cruelest punishment wasn't making one the executioner. It was making them feel each other's suffering through every moment of it. With 3 pairs united, we moved faster. Stronger. But the island noticed. That night, the ground opened beneath Haru. A pit of thorned vines, alive and reaching. Genji moved without hesitation. He grabbed the boy, threw him clear, and the vines took him instead. They dragged him down. Everything except his hand, still reaching up through the dirt, fingers open. Haru screamed and dug with his bare hands. The chain between them was burning. 24 hours. Counting. We dug for hours. Ren, Yuki, the twins, everyone. When we pulled Genji free, he was barely breathing. Thorns had grown through his chest. His power was fading. His eyes were glassy. He looked at Haru and smiled. "Hey kid. Sorry I can't walk you to the Heartbloom." Haru was sobbing. "You're supposed to be the criminal. You're not supposed to save me." Genji laughed, blood on his lips. "My only crime was caring too much. I'd commit it again." Genji died at dawn. Quietly. Still holding Haru's hand. The chain dissolved into light, and the 24-hour countdown began on Haru's wrist. Glowing numbers. Ticking down. But something else happened. When the chain broke, a pulse of energy shot out of the chain and into the island. And every flower within 100 feet bloomed at once. The chains weren't just bindings. They were feeding the island. Our life force. Our bonds. The island was eating our connections. The deeper we went, the more the island tried to break us. Day 6. The Memory Forest. Here, the trees don't grow leaves. They grow memories. Whatever you're most afraid to remember, the forest pulls it out and makes you live it again. The twins went in first. They came out 30 minutes later, Mira carrying Sarah on her back, both of them silent, tears running down identical faces. Whatever they saw, they never spoke about it. It was our turn. The moment we stepped inside, the chain between us flared. In the memory forest, the chain doesn't just share feelings. It shares visions. Yuki saw my memories. And I saw hers. But hers were blank. A wall of white nothing where her childhood should be. And then the wall cracked. She saw it. The Crimson Night. A village burning. Imperial soldiers marching through the streets. Not to save anyone. To harvest. Machines that ripped the superpowers from children's bodies. Screaming. Running. A mother shielding her daughter with nothing but her own body. And then a boy. A 10-year-old boy with messy black hair. Standing between the soldiers and the girl. His hands glowing dark with a power no child should have. The boy used soul tether on the mother's wounds. He took her pain. Her bleeding. Her broken bones. All of it. Into himself. Then he did it again. And again. Person after person. 247 people. A 10-year-old absorbing the dying moments of 247 souls. His body should have shattered. But he kept going. Because the last person he reached was the girl with white hair. She was dying. And he held her hand and whispered, "I'll take everything. Just please don't die." But saving her body wasn't enough. The soldiers were tracking soul tether signatures. If they found her memories of him, if they found her connection to him, they'd come back and kill everyone he saved. So the boy did the cruelest, kindest thing imaginable. He absorbed her memories. Every memory of him. Every laugh. Every shared meal. Every promise. He erased himself from her life to keep her safe. And then he collapsed in a field of ash. Alone. Yuki fell to her knees in the memory forest. The vision shattered around her. She was shaking. Hyperventilating. Her eyes were wide, pupils dilated, staring at me like she was seeing me for the first time. And in a way, she was. "That boy," she whispered. "The boy who saved me. Who absorbed my mother's death. Who erased himself to protect me." She looked at my face. At the scar through my eyebrow. At the number 7 on my chest. "It's you." Her voice broke. "It was always you." She hit me. Hard. Right across the face. Then she grabbed my collar and pulled me down until our foreheads touched. "You let them convict you," she hissed. "You let them call you a murderer. For 11 years. You saved 247 people and said nothing?" "I couldn't," I said. "If the emperor knew they survived, he'd send soldiers to finish what he started." She was crying. The imperial executioner. The girl who'd spent 11 years killing without emotion. Crying. Because of me. She said one thing that destroyed me. I spent 11 years wondering why I was empty. Why I couldn't feel anything. Why I couldn't connect with anyone. You took my memories. You took the part of me that knew how to love. That's what Soul Tether stole when it took my memories of you. Not just your face. My capacity for warmth. I didn't speak. Because she was right. I'd saved her life and stolen her heart in the cruelest way possible. She walked ahead of me for the rest of the day. The chain kept us close, but the silence between us was the widest distance I'd ever known. Haru walked beside me. His countdown was at 16 hours. He said, "She'll forgive you." I said, "She shouldn't." He said, "Maybe not. But I think she already has. She's just not ready to admit it." That night, I woke to find Yuki sitting beside me. The others were asleep. The chain lay between us, barely glowing. She didn't look at me. But she spoke. When I was 10, the Executioner Corps put a sword in my hand and told me I was nothing without a purpose. I believed them. Because I had no past. No memories. No one. She paused. "You were my someone. And you erased yourself. I'll help you find the heart bloom. Not because I forgive you. But because you're going to undo what you did. I'm getting my memories back. All of them. That's my price." Day 7. We reached the heart of the garden. A valley so beautiful it hurt to look at. Crystal lakes reflecting skies that shouldn't exist. Flowers the size of houses, pulsing with soft light. And in the center, growing from a hill of white stone, the heart bloom. It wasn't a flower. It was a tree. Massive. made of crystallized souls. I could see faces in the bark. Hundreds of them. And I recognized every single one. The 247 people I saved. They were here. Inside the tree. Alive, but sleeping. Trapped in crystallized dreams. And flowing through the roots, buried beneath 11 years of growth, I could feel others. Hundreds more. Every person from every expedition the Emperor had ever sent. The Heartbloom wasn't a prize. It was a prison. And the people inside it were the power source keeping this entire island alive. Yuki walked up to the tree and pressed her hand against it. She gasped. Mom! Dad! There, deep inside the crystallized wood, two faces she'd forgotten. Two lives she'd lost. Her parents. Still alive. Still dreaming. Waiting 11 years inside a tree of souls because a boy loved their daughter enough to save them. She turned to me. Her violet eyes shattered. You saved them too. You saved everyone. But the truth came with a cost. The Heartbloom's power could grant the Emperor immortality. That was the real mission. Not freedom. Sacrifice. Every pair sent here was designed to weaken the island's defenses. The chains we wore weren't protection. They were parasites, draining our life force and feeding it to the island to destabilize it. When enough pairs died, the Heartbloom would be vulnerable. Ripe for the taking. The Emperor had been farming us. Taking the Heartbloom would kill everyone inside it. All 247 people. Yuki's parents. Every lost soul from every expedition. And it would collapse the island, drowning everything in the sea. The Emperor didn't care. He never cared. We were all just fuel for his immortality. Genji died for nothing. Pair 3. Pair 8. All of them. Sacrifices on an altar nobody showed them. Haru's countdown was at 4 hours. Without Genji's chain, the island was eating him slowly. He sat against the Heartbloom tree, vines already crawling up his legs. The boy who never wanted to be an executioner was going to die as one. He looked at Run with clear eyes. Mr. Run. Don't take the tree. Promise me. He put his hand on the bark. I can feel him in there. Genji. He's dreaming. He's dreaming about a world where kids don't have executioners. Let him keep dreaming. Please. I used Soul Tether on Haru. Not to save him. I couldn't undo the chain's countdown. But I could take his pain. His fear. The terror of a 16-year-old boy dying alone on an island of monsters. I took all of it. Left him with nothing but warmth. He smiled. For real. The first real smile I'd seen on this island. Tell the old man I was brave, he whispered. Then the vines closed over him, and the tree gained another face. Another dreamer. 3 pairs left. Us. The twins. And pair 12, who we hadn't seen until now. Pair 12's convict was a woman named the Architect. Her power let her reshape matter at a molecular level. She'd built a fortress in the garden's eastern cliffs and waited. She'd been watching us. Learning. Her executioner was already dead, vines growing from his chest. But she'd somehow severed the chain without dying herself. That should have been impossible. The Architect had figured out what the Heartbloom was months ago. She didn't care about the people inside. She wanted the power. Enough raw soul energy to reshape continents. Forget the Emperor's immortality. She wanted godhood. Why free 1,000 dreamers when you can build a new world? she asked. Because those dreamers are people, I said. She laughed. That's why you're on death row, number 7. You think people are worth saving. They never stop proving you wrong. She attacked. Not us. The heart bloom. She began reshaping the crystallized tree, pulling the soul energy out strand by strand. The faces inside the bark started screaming. Silent screams. Mouths open. Agony frozen in crystal. 2,000 souls being ripped apart at the molecular level. Yuki's parents were in there. Genji. Haru. Everyone I'd ever saved was about to be unmade. And I felt every single one of them through soul tether. The twins moved first. Mira and Sarah. Synchronization at full power. They moved as one, 2 bodies sharing a single will. Mira struck high, Sarah struck low. The architect deflected them with walls of reshaped stone. But synchronization meant they felt each other's hits. Every blow Mira landed, Sarah felt the strength of. Every wound Sarah took, Mira bled from. They fought knowing every strike cost them both. The architect caught Sarah by the throat. Molecular disruption. Sarah's skin began to dissolve where the hand touched. Mira screamed. Not from seeing it. From feeling it. Their synchronization meant Mira's neck burned too. But Mira didn't stop. She drove her blade through the architect's shoulder, pulling her away from Sarah. I don't care if it hurts double, Mira snarled. She's my sister. I'll take 1,000 times this and smile. Yuki drew last breath. Not the cracked blade. Something had changed. The memory forest had given her something back. The katana blazed with violet light. Her power was never just swordsmanship. It was resonance. The ability to sync her soul with anything she touched. The executioner core had suppressed it. Weaponized it. But now she could feel the island. The souls. The heart bloom. And she could feel the architect's weakness. A single point where her molecular control couldn't reach. Her own heart. Yuki and the architect clashed. Resonance versus molecular reshape. The ground split. Trees shattered. The air itself cracked like glass. The architect was more powerful, rebuilding reality around her, turning the ground to quicksand, the air to razors. But Yuki could feel every change before it happened. Resonance let her read the vibrations. For every wall the architect built, Yuki found the exact frequency to shatter it. The architect's eyes went wide. You're not just an executioner. What are you? The architect retreated to the heart bloom tree. Pulled more soul energy to fuel her power. The tree screamed louder. Faces cracking. I couldn't let this continue. I raised my hand toward the tree and activated soul tether at a level I'd never dared try. Not one person. Not 10. Not even 247. The entire tree. Every soul inside it. I tried to absorb them all at once. The pain was beyond anything I could describe. 1,000 lives flooding through me at once. Every memory. Every dream. Every fear. 11 years of imprisonment compressed into my chest like a star collapsing. My body started breaking. Cracks spreading across my skin. Light pouring out of the fissures. Yuki screamed my name. Not prisoner 7. Not convict. Run. She screamed REN. The architect tried to stop me. She reshaped the air into blades and sent them at my back. The twin sisters stepped in front of every single one. Mira took 3 blades through her shoulders. Sarah felt all three. Blood running down both their backs. We didn't survive this long to lose him now, Mira roared. Sarah, barely standing, raised her sword. Together. Always together. The architect looked at them. At Yuki. At me. She saw something she'd forgotten. Bonds that can't be cut. It wasn't enough. I couldn't hold them all. 1,000 souls in one body. My bones were turning to dust. I was going to die. And when I died, the souls would scatter. Lost forever. Yuki reached me. She grabbed my hand. The chain between us blazed white-hot. Idiot, she whispered. You always try to carry everything alone. She raised last breath. Not toward me. Toward herself. And she drove the blade into her own chest. Last breath. Forged from the same cursed metal as the binding chains. Designed to transfer power between bonded souls. By stabbing herself, Yuki opened a conduit. Her resonance power merged with my soul tether. The burden split. Half the souls flowed through me. Half through her. We were both screaming. Both breaking. Both burning. But together, we could hold them. 1,000 dreamers, carried by two people who chose each other over everything. The architect watched. And something in her broke. Not physically. Inside. Where it matters. She dropped her hands. The molecular reconstruction stopped. She stared at two people destroying themselves to save strangers. Strangers who would never know their names. Why? She whispered. They're already gone. Why suffer for ghosts? Because they're not ghosts, I said through bloodied teeth. They're the people who taught us that this, I squeezed Yuki's hand, is worth more than godhood. The architect did something none of us expected. She turned her power on herself. Molecular reconstruction. She reshaped her own hands into conduits and grabbed the heartbloom's roots. Help me stabilize it, she said. I can't save them. But I can hold the tree together while you pull them out. She smiled. First time I'd seen her smile. It looked like it hurt. Together. All of us. The condemned and the executioners. The twins holding each other up, bleeding from matching wounds. The architect, a woman who wanted godhood, now just holding a tree together. Yuki, the girl who'd been trained to feel nothing, screaming through a river of stolen souls. And me. Prisoner number 7. The mass murderer who saved 247 lives and never told anyone. We were all broken. Every single one of us. But broken things, when they hold each other up, can carry more than whole things ever could. The island fought back. Without its souls, the Garden of Thorns was dying. And dying things are the most dangerous. Divine beasts emerged from the ground. Creatures of root and thorn, the size of buildings, guardians programmed to protect the tree at any cost. They converged on us from every direction. 4. 8. 12. Each one a weapon of living nature. The twins intercepted the first wave. Synchronization pushed beyond anything they'd ever attempted. They became a single weapon. 2 bodies, 1 mind. Mira was the blade. Sarah was the shield. They cut through the first beast together, then the second, then the third. But each kill cost them doubled. Blood running from their eyes, noses, ears. Mira looked at Sarah across the battlefield. One more? Same as always? Sarah smiled. Same as always. The last divine beast was different. It didn't attack with thorns. It attacked with emotion. A pulse of pure despair radiated outward. The feeling that nothing mattered. That all of this was pointless. That every person we were trying to save would just suffer again. The twins fell. The architect's hand slipped. Even Yuki's grip on my hand weakened. Only Soul Tether kept me standing. Because I'd been carrying despair for 11 years. I was immune. I walked toward the despair beast. Every step heavier than the last. It showed me every failure. Every person I couldn't save. The ones who died before I reached them on the Crimson Night. It showed me Genji's last smile. Haru's trembling hands. It showed me Yuki, cold and empty, spending 11 years as a weapon because I stole her warmth. And I accepted all of it. I am prisoner number 7. I carry what others can't. That's not a curse. That's a choice. I placed my hand on the despair beast's chest. And I did the one thing Soul Tether was never meant to do. I didn't absorb. I gave. I pushed every warm memory I had into the creature. Yuki's laugh when we were children. Genji handing food to Haru. The twins holding hands on the ship. The architect's painful first smile. The beast shattered. Not from destruction. From something it had never tasted. Hope. With the last guardian gone, the tree released its final souls. They streamed upward like fireflies. Hundreds, then thousands. Every person the island had ever consumed. Not just my 247. Every expedition. Every pair. Every soul. They materialized above the ocean surrounding the island. Confused. Alive. Floating. Among them, an older man with kind eyes blinked at the sky. Behind him, a boy barely 16 gasped his first free breath. Genji and Haru. Together again. The island began to collapse. Without the souls powering it, the Garden of Thorns was just stone and water. The impossible rivers fell. The golden trees wilted. The flowers stopped whispering. Beauty, stripped of its stolen life, is just scenery dying. The architect reshaped the cliff into a bridge toward the ocean. I'm not good at bonds, she said, pushing us forward. But I can build a damn bridge. Go. We ran. Yuki could barely stand. 1,000 souls had passed through her body. I wasn't much better. Cracks across my skin still leaking light. But we ran. Together. The chain between us had stopped glowing. Somewhere in the chaos, it had simply dissolved. Neither of us noticed. Neither of us cared. The chain had been designed to bind us. But what held us together now was something the Emperor never engineered. We made it. All of us. Run. Yuki. The twins. The architect. And surrounding us in the open ocean, 1,000 freed souls treading water, staring at a sky they hadn't seen in years. Among them, a woman with white hair grabbed Yuki's face. Mom? The woman was crying. You grew up. Oh God, you grew up and I missed it. Yuki broke. Completely. Not as an executioner. As a daughter. Yuki's father found them next. A quiet man with tired hands and Yuki's same violet eyes. He looked at Run. Studied the scar. The number 7 on his chest. You're the boy, he said. The one who took our daughter's pain. I nodded. And her memories of me. He closed his eyes. Then opened them. She spent 11 years empty because of you. I know. And she spent 11 years alive because of you. He put his hand on my shoulder. Thank you. And I'm sorry. Imperial ships appeared on the horizon. Not rescue. Retrieval. The Emperor had sent them for the Heartbloom. But the Heartbloom was destroyed. The island was gone. His immortality project died in the ocean with the thorns. The Admiral leaned over the railing and shouted, "Where is the Heartbloom?" "Gone," I called back. "Along with every lie you told to get it." The Admiral's face went white. "You don't understand. The Emperor will destroy you all." Then Genji spoke. Alive. Floating among 1,000 witnesses. "I was convicted of treason for exposing the Emperor's crimes," he called out. "I have the evidence. I memorized every document. Every order. Every name. I was supposed to die before I could testify." He looked at Haru beside him. The boy was beaming. "Guess they'll need a bigger courtroom. 1,000 witnesses. 1,000 people the Emperor tried to erase. All of them alive. All of them remembering." The Admiral gave the order to fire. The architect smiled. She raised her hands and reshaped the cannonballs mid-flight. Turned iron into flower petals. Every single one. A rain of steel petals drifted down harmlessly around 1,000 floating souls. She looked at the ships and said, "I wanted godhood once. Turns out being human is harder. And infinitely more satisfying." The Admiral's crew began putting down their weapons. It took 3 days to bring everyone to shore. 3 days of boats. Rescues. Reunions. Families finding people they'd mourned for decades. Children who'd been taken recognizing parents who'd grown old. The twins sat on the beach holding hands, finally feeling each other's joy instead of pain. Mira whispered, "This is what synchronization was meant for. Not suffering. This." 6 weeks later. The capital. The trial of Emperor Valdris III. 1,214 witnesses. Genji's testimony. The architect's structural evidence. And my soul tether. I stood before the court and did something I'd never done. I released the memories. 247 dying moments, played for every judge, every noble, every citizen watching through the broadcast crystals. The Emperor tried to speak. No one listened anymore. The Emperor was dethroned. Not by power. Not by war or revolution. By the truth. Spoken by a condemned man, a girl who lost her memories, a father who loved too much, a pair of twin sisters, and a woman who chose humanity over godhood. They struck my name from the death register. Case dismissed. All charges void. I walked out of the courthouse into sunlight. 11 years. 11 years since I'd felt the sun as a free man. Yuki found me on the courthouse steps. Last breath was sheathed at her side. Not as an executioner anymore. She'd resigned from the Corps. She walked up to me. Violet eyes. "No more ice. I owe you something," she said. "You don't owe me any, shut up." She pulled me close. "You took my memories to save me. But the memory forest gave them back. All of them." She pressed her forehead to mine, exactly like in the forest. "I remember everything, Run. The sunflowers. The promises. You. I remember you." They asked me once what the Garden of Thorns really was. A prison? A paradise? A weapon? I think it was a mirror. It showed us what we carried and asked one question: is it worth holding on to? The chains they gave us were meant to break us. But some chains you choose to keep. not the ones made of iron. The ones made of the moments when someone broken looks at you and says, "I'll carry half." Some chains are meant to be broken. But the ones we choose? Those are the ones that set us free.